Let's talk about blueprints and paper templates. The lesson objectives are to create a blueprint in order to determine the size and number of slabs required for your ceramic house. This is a very important step in the planning process. And then you're going to learn how to measure and cut out paper templates that will be used for cutting slabs of clay. And you've already used a paper template before. So no matter the form of your house, whether you're doing something very traditional, which is what you'll be seeing in my demonstrations, or you're making a house that has multiple sides with a roof that maybe has 4 or even 5 slabs, think about the plan you have drawn. What is the form for your roof? Are you using 2 slabs for the roof? Are you going to use 1 slab that curves with the body of the house? Or are you using 4 slabs where you're essentially creating a pyramid? So what is a blueprint? This helps you determine how many slabs you will need and what sizes you plan to use. And it would be easier if you just follow along with me. So pause the video, go grab this worksheet so you can draw along with me, but also you're going to need your design plan. So, in the space below, draw the shapes of the slabs and note the size for each slab you will need to create for your house. So remember, you're going to need 1 slab for the front, back, and sides of your house. You'll need 1 slab for the floor, and you'll likely need 1 to 2 slabs for the roof. If your roof is actually flat, you'll probably have 1 slab. If your roof is triangular, you'll likely have 2 slabs. So what you're going to do is reference your plan that you have drawn in terms of the form. So according to my design, the front and back are going to be this kind of shape. Now, how tall do I want this slab to be? Altogether, I'm going to have this slab be 6 inches tall. Again, I'm following along with the size requirements. Now, how wide do I want this front and back of the house to be? I'm going to go for 4 inches. However, okay, so this is the front and back, right? So make sure you label that in your plan. This is the front and back, right? So how many of these do I need to create? I'm going to have to make 2 of them. So the side of my slab, the side of my house is just going to be like that. It's going to be rectangular. Now, how long do I want this to be, right? What's the length am I going to do for my house? I'm going to choose 5 inches. But how tall? Well, it can't be 6 inches tall because according to my front and back plan, I'm going to have this triangular part. So let's go for 4 inches. This part is 4 inches. Now this is the side, and I need 2 of them, right? 1 for each side. Now my roof is going to be triangular, so there's going to be 1 slab and 1 slab. So for my roof, I'm going to need 2 of them. Now how wide? Well, the good question is, if your side of your house is 5 inches, you'll probably want your roof to be a little bit wider. This just makes it easier when you do your construction and you don't have to worry about trying to make the roof line up with the sides of your house. So the length of my roof here, the width here of the roof is going to be 6 inches. That gives me about ½ an inch overhang on both sides. Now, how tall? I'm going to go for 4 inches. I might change that later, but I certainly don't want to make it, let's say, 2 inches because it might not hang down enough on the sides of the house. So that's my roof. I'm going to need 2 slabs. The last thing I'm missing is the floor. And this is pretty easy because once you have the front and back determined, you can figure out the floor. Now you only need 1 slab. So according to my plan here, the front and back of my house is 4 inches. So I'm going to label this 4 inches. And then the length of my house is 5 inches. So you're going to have me check this plan. I'm going to sign off on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for, does this make sense? If something doesn't make sense, I will consult with you and then we'll get you corrected. Okay, now that I have checked your blueprint, you're going to use that blueprint to actually create paper templates. And this is actually a common tool used in ceramics. For example, here this person rolled out a slab and they're going to cut out these shapes to form a rooster. So you're paper templates, you're going to use those when you cut out your slabs of clay. This is so you don't need to measure right on the clay. So you'll definitely need to reference your blueprint, but you're also going to need the following supplies. You'll need a pencil, you'll need a ruler, you'll need an X-Acto knife, you'll need a cutting mat or cutting board, and you'll need template paper. Now the template paper we're using is this thick cardstock. It's pretty sturdy and it won't warp horribly when you put it against the wet clay. You might find pieces that are kind of big, you might find pieces that are smaller, so if you need a larger piece and there's none available, please ask me for help. Now your cutting mats, this is a cutting mat, it's a self-healing cutting mat. If you're not using a cutting mat, you're using a cutting board, which is a large piece of thickened cardboard basically. So I'm going to take my piece of template paper and I'm going to grab my pencil and I need my ruler. Now let me give you a hint. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this shape right here. So use the side of the paper when you're measuring, right? Don't just cut your template right in the middle of the paper, because just like cutting out slabs, you want to use all the space. So I need to cut out a rectangle that is 6 by 4 inches, right? I'm going to show you how to do the triangular part. So what I'm doing is I'm measuring along the paper and I'm making a tick mark. This is just a little reference. Now I'm going to move my ruler up and make a second tick mark at 6 inches. Okay, so now when I cut out my template, I can use these 2 lines to make sure that my line is straight. Because if I don't use multiple tick marks, I don't know if my line or my cut is actually going to be straight. And I'm going to be checking your templates. So if your templates look wonky, I'm going to ask you to redo them. To take my X-Acto knife, just some reminders about the X-Acto knife. If the blade pops out, just carefully undo the barrel and then place it back in and squeeze it to tighten it. Make sure you're not putting your hands in front of where you're cutting. You should be cutting along the ruler here so you get a straight line. If it doesn't cut very well the first time, you might need to make a couple swipes through the paper, but keep your fingers away from the blade. Now I only need to cut out one because I'm going to trace it 2 times. So we're going to call this one the front and back. Now how do we get that triangle, right? Remember, the triangle. Well, we want to make sure that our triangle is in the center of this paper here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center, like literally. If this is 4 inches wide, then the center is going to be at 2 inches, right? So let me measure it up here. I'm going to measure 2 inches. So that's the center of the paper. Now I need to determine where is the 4 inches along here. Measure 4 inches there, and then another 4 inches on this side. If you're at all confused by what I'm doing, just watch the demo first. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to meet up the edges here and here. So I'm going to cut a straight line. I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side here. But there's my front and back. There we go. So again, using the edge of the paper to measure, I'm going to measure 5 inches, make a tick mark, move my ruler up, measure another 5 inches, make a tick mark, rotate my paper. I'm going to measure 4 inches this way, make a tick mark, 4 inches again, make a tick mark. And now I can take my X-Acto knife and ruler, line up my ruler between the 2 tick marks, and cut this out. Again, this is going to be the side of the house. And that's how you make templates. Pretty easy, but they're so helpful. I'm going to label this as the sides. I'll need 2 of them. When you're done cutting out all your templates, you're going to have me check them. That is your mastery check for this lesson. Good luck.